here with Dr. Breck. Dr. Breck, how are you doing?
I'm doing excellent today. How are you? Okay, I lost your voice there.
Sorry, I have a mute button that I use to try to reduce interference, and sometimes I mess up and I mute myself by accident. But um, I wanted to talk to you really about history because I think most historians, they either there's basically two types of people you can talk to about history: people who have actually lived through history, and then people who abstractly have read books about it and they have some, theoretical or academic knowledge about it. I think you have kind of the best of both worlds in certain subjects. And broadly, I think I'd like you to kind of give your own background, but from what I understand, it's the Ron Paul movement, the John Birch Society, those being kind of the two big political movements that you were a part of in, say, the early 2000s up to.
Okay, you're freezing up on me, but I'm staying with you.
Okay. What I will
I'm
do.
staying with you, but
I'll pause.
I don't know
this
how
and
your
I'll go
connection
from
is.
All right, so we're back to recording. Hopefully, our internet stays good for the remainder of this. But what I was just saying is that you've got experience in the Ron Paul movement, the also the John Birch Society. One of those people are probably more familiar with one than the other. Just kind of introduce your real life experience background and also sort of your academic background in both of those areas.
Yeah, I have zero academic background, but I have always been interested in history, and I almost got a degree in several things. I actually have a legitimate degree in equine podiatry, but that doesn't count. But in terms of history, I've always wanted to be a history professor, so I've studied it extensively over the years and been mentored by several historians. And in terms of learning history, it seemed to me that I would want to participate in history. So I wanted to participate in the Ron Paul campaign because I felt like this was a profound moment in the history of America for a certain generation of people participating in the political process. So I joined it, even though I was involved in both campaigns, even though I knew it didn't have a prayer of succeeding. And it helped me learn the political structure and also be involved in various events and also learn how the media covers various events and how they are relevant to the contemporary power structure. In between the two campaigns, I did work for the John Birch Society as a chapter member, and they wanted me to be more than that, a regional director, but I was not impressed with their pay structure, and I think they just wanted me as a token Brown as well. So I also ran a campaign for the Constitution Party. I didn't run as a Constitution Party candidate. I ran the Constitution Party candidate's campaign, and we actually did well on a local race. We got more votes than some of the national Constitution Party candidates did. And so I have a considerable experience on the ground, door to door, town hall, city hall, that type of committee meeting, infighting. I also did lobbyist training and was going to be a lobbyist, and it just was not for me. But I have a lot of experience and knowledge in lobbying politicians. From the perspective of a non-financial background, most lobbyists just show up with a briefcase full of cash, basically. And I came from the more populist perspective of how to get a bill through committee in my state, using phone banking and other, basically using political pressure rather than money for lobbying, which I think is more technical and more, I'm not saying it's more moral, but it takes more effort and ability to get a bill through committee and into the legislature to get voted on. That process takes more acumen if you have to do it politically rather than financially. In any case, that's a brief overview. It's probably too long for the Zoomers, but a very brief overview of my political experience as a political foot soldier.
So when you first entered the Ron Paul campaign, that was in 2008.
2007. We started in 2007.
Okay, 2007. Um, Prior to that, did you have any? What sort of connections, or was it, you mentioned historical mentors that you had? Was there anyone who brought you into that, convinced you? Did you find it on your own? How did you enter into it?
Okay, I started posting on the internet in 1996, and so I witnessed the rise of Free Republic and the Freepers as a political force in the Clinton impeachment, and I watched the rise and fall of a number of internet forums over the up to the period we're in now, wherein V Bulletin is basically dead, but at one time, Free Republic had a considerable amount of political power in the early 2000s and so forth. And so I was posting on a lot of sites, and I met a lot of people who were in my area. So by 2007, I'd gotten to know some of them. One of them was William Roberts. He hosted the Get Vocal Local show on Republic Broadcasting Network, and William was a great influence on me, God rest his soul. William was not a right wing individual. He called his show the home of philosophical radicalism, and he wasn't a libertarian rather. He was very into. I guess he was more into the Buchananite wing, but he wasn't a Buchananite either. But he was very well read, and he tried to do a radio show reading historical books on his show. That's what he would do, and he was a very profound reader. And I have a number of his books in his collection. I inherited his library, and they're all penned, very well thumbed through. He took notes on every page. He outlined preeminent passages in the books like nobody does anymore. And that was how people used to read books to get the most out of them. He added his own footnotes on little sticky papers and things like that. And William taught me a lot about how to read books and study these old writers like Walter Budgehart and so on. And on my own, I discovered a lot of other writers like Christopher Lasch and Eric Hoffer and so forth and so on. So William was a great mentor to me. I met a lot of political figures. I don't want to mention all their names. William himself, he had gotten a lot of his political, he had a lot of good tactics, not just strategies.